parcel.
Because it's long and thin, it comes in a box that size.
Aye.
It upsets me.
What is it you're ordering? So welcome to the Humane Kind podcast. My guest this week, or the debut guest, the maiden voyage, Edward Reid, Mr. Edward Reid.
A big maiden.
One of my favourite people in the world. So,
Ditto.
Tell a story. When I first met you was at the Grand Central Hotel.
That's right.
And
Is that the Bakers?
aye, exactly. And I'd worked with some celebrities before.
I don't call myself a celebrity.
Yeah, don't you be all coy and
I
shy.
know, I'm not being coy. I think a celebrity is somebody that's in like OK Magazine and Hello Magazine.
Aye.
I've been in OK once, and I look like Ronnie Corbett, so it's not good. But no, it's funny because I don't want to be a celebrity. I like to have a profile. Sorry for cutting you into that, but
No.
So it's just, I just think celebrity is not the way it used to be anymore. It's not glam. It's trashy.
Aye, I get that.
You've got to have like 5 issues, and so that you can be in the newspaper. Anyway, carry on. Keep talking about
my 14-year-old. She's obsessed with celebrities, and it's all that. It's always that. It's always the latest drama that's going on.
Right, let's talk about that in a minute, right? Because after you finish talking about me,
So I was I'd never met you before. I'd worked with the organiser for that twice before for a charity ball. It was to raise funds for Malawi, schooling basically for kids in Malawi. So I do a thing during the meal where I go in and set it all up and get everybody up singing and dancing. The organiser said, "We've got Edward Reid coming along. He's going to do all that." It's all amazing, good stuff. And you're never quite sure, because I've worked with some celebrities before that are just, excuse the language, absolute arseholes. But for the moment you stepped on the stage, you were just so open and warm and welcoming, and it just took me aback. It took me back, and you know, you get that instant connection with someone. I thought, what a nice guy, what a really nice guy.
That's nice feedback because that's nice feedback because I didn't think about this. I just did it not naturally, but I go in up here at number 10, right? And when I first started singing in pubs, I used to just stand and go, "Hello, my name's Edward, and this is a song by Michael Bublé," and I was terrified. And then, like after my third, I think it was my second gig actually, and a gig up in Lismahago, it was wild, and I went, nobody's looking at me, so I just started giving it all that. But I always think, and when I started doing corporate events, and I'd walk into a room full of black ties and ball gowns, I was extremely intimidated. And I would go in, skipping in with my sparkly jacket on, and then I would have like 10 minutes into my set, because I first initially started off as just a singer, not a host, just as the entertainment. And I would start to dip, my energy would start to dip because the room wasn't moving, and I would match the room's energy.
Aye.
And then I made a decision, I wasn't going to change my energy. I was going to stay up there, and I was going to make them come to me.
Aye.
And that's what I do. But also, when I look back, I think what I do is, not that I'm not saying I'm a clown, right? But I make myself extremely vulnerable on the stage. So I think I make it a safe space for other people to be vulnerable. And I didn't realise that I was doing that until I think it was RuPaul had said that about somebody, and I was like, I think that's what I do. But it was my intention, but I didn't have the clarity of thought to say that's exactly what I do. So thank you, that's great feedback, because that's what I want people to feel, like warm and safe. And you know, you've spent about £55 in a ticket, probably more. You've a fortune in an outfit, fake tan. You know, that's just me. And then you go out, and you do what you want to. And what happens is, you'll know this, like, it's not until about 11 o'clock the dance floor fills, because people have got too many inhibitions. And I'm like, stuff that, like, life's too short.
I know, and it was clear what you were doing. Some of the things you I suppose it got away with saying, like I thought I couldn't possibly say that, but it was amazing because you had the crowd eating out the palm of your hand, and you say you took that energy level from maybe a 3 or a 4 away up to a 10 for the audience, and lifted that away up. So it was amazing to see. So people just sitting eating their melon and whatnot, all of a sudden they're up there and they're G'd up going, what's going on? What an amazing night. So it was great. The whole premise behind this podcast is kindness. The name gives it away, humankind. It's kindness to animals, kindness to ourselves, kindness to others, and kindness to the planet. But I thought we'd kick things off by giving people a wee bit of background about you. Obviously, the big thing that sticks out for people is Britain's Got Talent, and I just want to take you back to that. 2011 was it? Take you back to that on stage. You did that, the performance. You've got the Hoff sitting in front of you, Amanda Holden saying to you, you know, amazing. Do you know what? My kids would love that. I would love for them to hear this and would buy your album. How did that feel to you?
In the moment, I think I was in shock. I mean, I don't know. I just was glad I got through it without making an idiot of myself. Although I was singing nursery rhymes, but I was just appreciative of the positivity. I was more so appreciative of because after I finished singing, right, because my pal said, because I kept thinking, right, I was standing at the side of the stage and they were all going to the previous acts, off, and then they go cheerio, 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 and I was just standing going, what the hell am I doing? I'm going to hear it sing about Humpty Dumpty. I'm going to get annihilated. But I remember thinking it was a really pivotal, is that not pivotal, defining moment in my life, because I remember standing there and thinking, because I was really underconfident, and to do that was a big thing for me, to just put myself out there. So I remember thinking, right, they can boo me, they can buzz me, because they changed my backing track as well. They said my backing track wasn't good enough. So in my head, I thought they're sabotaging me. That's a different key, because it was a Leona Lewis song, and I can't remember where I got it from. And I think was that the right key? And then they went and bought a new track, and it was a Leona Lewis's original key, and I was like, this might sound like a cat dying. But so I remember thinking, right, they can do all that, the light and the sound can be rotten, but as Whitney Houston says, they can't take away my dignity, right? And I remember thinking it was the best thing ever, because Charlie coming up.
He's fine. He can come in the podcast. That's fine.
Good dog. That's his bumper in the says. I'm not involved.
I thought I had to get him up in case people thought I had somebody tied up in the corner. No, you stay there. Gimp in the
so it was great. So in that moment, I was just grateful I got through it. But would you call him Michael McIntyre? When I looked at the judges, because obviously in that back then you needed the judges' approval, because that's what it was all about, you know. And then I looked, and Michael McIntyre couldn't speak because they were all cheering. 3,000 people were on their feet, and I remember thinking, because before that I says don't greet, whatever you do, don't greet. But then I was like, don't greet. But I wanted to cry, because I was just my appreciation, because you don't think of that, because when you watch it on television, you're like, you want approval, validation from those judges, because that means a lot. But actually getting approval from 3,000 Scottish people meant much more, and I didn't know that was going to happen.
It's a tough ask in the west of Scotland.
Yes,
a really tough ask.
Yes, I think we're very, like, Glasgow especially is very loving, very welcoming. They'll give you a chance, but if they don't like you, they soon switch off. And I'm the same, you know. I'm all for listening to somebody, but after 5 minutes, if they don't grab me, I'll turn and go, anyway, how you doing? You know, and talk to my pal.
I know. Well, there's so much entertainment out there vying for your attention nowadays. So many podcasts, so much music, so many TV shows. So it has to grab you, I suppose. Yep. So it's interesting, because you said it was nursery rhymes set to Leona Lewis. Where did you come up with that idea? Why did you do that? Years ago, I worked. I did social care. I wanted to be a social worker, and then I wanted to fix people. Actually, I needed to fix myself. That's what needed to happen, right? But on the way to becoming a social worker, I was too young. I left college at school at 16, so I went and did a social care course to just, rather than do 5th and 6th year, I went and did that. But I loved social care, and I loved working with the elderly, and I loved working with special people with additional support needs. So cut to me then getting a job, and then leaving it, and then going and study musical theatre. And then when I was doing musical theatre, I used to work part-time for an art organisation in Edinburgh, and
I worked with them for like 10 years, and I worked with 2 twins who had autism, and they just turned 17, and I was teaching them drama and movement and singing, and they couldn't sing, they couldn't really speak, but they would, one would go e, and I would go I, and I was like, oh, that's great, and somebody said they're singing Old MacDonald.
Aye.
And I went, oh, Old MacDonald, and they went, no, you can't sing it, they're 17, it's not age appropriate. So I was like, what if I sing it like Beyonce? So I was going, Old MacDonald, and then I went through different songs singing it with them, and I landed on Lionel Lewis's song, and I just sang it to it, and it was slower. But anyway, they were kind of interested but not really interested. But my sister worked in a nursery, and I was doing a fundraiser for her, and my plan was to sing the song, we're going on a bear hunt. Is it a bear hunt or wolf hunt?
A bear hunt.
Bear hunt. But in my head I was going to be Aretha Franklin, like, we're going on a bear hunt, oh yes. And I changed tactic to putting nurse, because I was going to get the nursery nurses up with me. My sister says no, they don't, they'll be too embarrassed. So I thought, right, I'll do that Old MacDonald, but and in my head I was Whitney Houston, so I sang it, and I got a standing ovation, and I was like, oh my God. And my friend Liz, who is my right hand, she works with me, she's my PA, but she's actually more than my PA, and she's like, no, Ed, just sing a song, you don't need to do that, just sing a song. And I went, it's fun, it's because I've got a guilt of almost apologising for myself before I do anything, and that she thought I was doing that with that song, but actually, as you said, but there's so many different reality things out now, you need to do something that sticks out, and people won't remember, but they'll go, oh, you sang nursery rhymes. I mean, people come up to me and go, see, when you were on the X Factor, I voted for you every week. I'm like, did you? Your money went down the drain because I wasn't on the X Factor.
I think it's amazing, but I think that leads us seamlessly into the kindness aspect, but so adapting songs for people, you know, it's not age appropriate, but you still, well, the wee guy's singing it, so I'm going to get thinking cap on and think some way. Kelly, my partner, she works with she's a teacher, she works with kids with additional needs, so
really?
She's gutted she's not here. She says, I want him to be my pal. But again, that's the kind of energy you give off, is just that people want to connect with you. And I'd spoken to her a little bit about that work that you do and where that came from, that concept. She's fascinated with that.
Oh, good.
Aye.
She'll know because you go and train, and then you get in a class, and not just be additional support needs, but mainstream, you have to adapt, because you don't know what personalities you're going to get. I worked at Coatbridge College, and it was the most I mean, I work well that way, right? So when I'm singing in a venue, in my head, I scan the room, and I like to try and give every single person eye contact.
Aye.
I want to connect with them, because it makes me feel alive, and it makes me, and I just think that's what life's about. But when I work with people with additional support needs, and I was in a class, and so many varied needs, like people who couldn't walk, people who couldn't speak, people who use wheelchairs, or people who couldn't sit down because they were too excited. So I used to love, because I would go, right, I need to make sure, and I would plan it in my head what I was doing, and how long I would give them a break, and how long I would give them. So I loved that. That was like, I was shattered after it, but it excited me, because I always say to teachers when I'm working with teachers, you are a performer.
Aye.
You don't know it, but you're a performer. And like with me singing in places, I need to make sure everybody's got my attention. I need to make sure. See, when I'm doing a theatre gig and people buy tickets for me, I definitely need to make sure. But when I'm doing a corporate gig, not everybody's going to get me, because they're not there for me, they're there for the event or for. So I don't bust a gut too much trying to get everybody to like me. But my intention is, I want to give everybody a wee bit of something. So, for example, I'll sing different songs. So I'll maybe do like The Gambler, which normally everybody loves, or Sweet Caroline, and then I'll do maybe, I'm learning Adele's new song just now, so I'll throw in a bit of that, and then, you know, maybe I'll do MNNK Hand in Heart, whatever it's called. I know the lyrics, I just don't know what the song's called. So I like to try and be all encompassing, but without exhausting myself.
See, when you're at a corporate, for example, and you're doing that room scan, can you pick out the different personalities there? You say, right.
Oh my God, right. So people will go to me. So I was at an event 2 weeks ago, and the people that booked me were like, don't pick on me. And I went, I'm not going, why would you say that? And they went, just because I've seen you at an event before, and I see you picking people. And I was like, the only people I pick on are the ones that are sitting like that. on the edge of their seat, and they want picked on. They want to be. You can see that they're ready. So when somebody's giving off that they're just watching, I know it's like I don't ever want to make anybody feel awkward. So when I see somebody and they're like that, I'll go, I look at you, you're always coming off that seat, you're that excited, and they'll laugh, and I'll go, what's your name? And then I go, right, if you're up for a bit of carry on later on, we'll have a bit of carry on, and then they're like that, yes. Or I normally say, right, point to the wildest person at your table, so I know who they are, so I can dance with them later on, and they'll always go, and there's always one person in a group that is the one that does handstands at the bus stop later on that night, do you know what I mean? So it's just about, like, sometimes I can see it, but sometimes I say to people, right, who's the wildest? Where are they? And then sometimes that's a bit bad because when they get drunk, they're too wild. I'm out here.
You see the ones, like I do a lot of weddings, and you see the ones that burn out too soon. Like if I'm there at a wedding all day, they've burnt out by say 8 o'clock, and that's same, they're ready for their bed.
I know.
Aye, that's never great. Okay. Tell me a wee bit about your journey up to that point, to Britain's Got Talent, out entertaining, learning your craft. How was that journey? How did that look for you?
I mean, it was busy. I used to work at college, and I worked in the community as well, teaching. And I'm not a teacher. I did musical theatre, and with that, and with my care qualification, I ended up falling into teaching, and I got a job in a college, and they were sending me on the teachers training course. But then they found out I was dyslexic, so halfway through it, they were like, we're going to give you the proper support. Stop. I was like, thank God, I hate studying, I hate writing, I hate reading, I hate writing. And then I realised I was dyslexic. I was like, yes, I'm not thick, I've got a reason. And I then was supposed to do it the following year, but then I left because I did apply for Britain's Got Talent, but also I'd left because I had felt as if I'd given as much as I could give to that job. But yeah, I was busy. I was working 7 days a week. I was working Monday, Tuesday, Friday teaching, and then Friday, Saturday, and sometimes on a Sunday singing in pubs and clubs, social clubs, golf clubs.
And how was that?
It was good. It was good. I had the energy for it back then. I was maybe about 30, because before that I had worked in Spain for 6 months, and then I worked in a cruise ship for 6 months. So I had done that. That was nice to do that and see the world and live somewhere else. But this was different. This was staying here. But I had the energy to work 6 days a week, and I never felt tired. Now I'm a part-timer, which is fabulous. I love it.
Something I found interesting, your answer that you gave in Britain's Got Talent about, where do you see yourself, what do you want to do as an audience with Edward Reid. So what's your thoughts on that? Have you had that kind of night before?
I've had many an evening with Edward Reid. I've never had, remember an audience with Michael Bublé, and there's like stars in the audience and they ask questions. I always wanted that. Yes and no. I mean, I went through, I think lockdown's been good for me in that sense, that I'm like, right, who am I, where am I going, what's my purpose? And I've fallen into mindfulness and teaching mindfulness, and I get a lot of joy from that. But singing I've drifted away from. The way I used to sing, the way I used to practice, I don't do as much.
Right.
And part of me thinks, is that bad? Is that good? And then I don't overanalyze that. I just think, right, just go with the flow, because right now this is what I'm doing, this is how I'm living, and it's fine. But it might happen in the future, it might not, I don't know, but I don't hold the same desire. But you were talking about your 14-year-old, did you say?
Aye.
She's obsessed with celebrity, because I was too, and I thought, years ago I used to think fame equaled success. Making money equals success. I still think that's true about making money, because when you've got money, you can do more things and you can help more people. But fame, not necessarily. And when I was on Britain's Got Talent, like 6 minutes one Saturday night, I was in the papers for like 2 days after it, and I didn't like the feeling.
Really?
I didn't like it. I felt people were looking at me, and I didn't like what the people were writing about me. They had came and interviewed me, and they had asked me about my mum's had a stillborn baby before me.
Right.
And I knew, but I didn't really know, and I thought, how do they know that? And I didn't know that, what else do they know? Not that I'm getting to hide, but I was just like, felt really uncomfortable. There's no escape from fame. You're public fodder, is that the right word? You're just out there for people to do what they want with you. Didn't like it, so I stopped chasing it.
So where you were at that point in your life versus where you are now in your life, Obviously, you've mentioned mindfulness, and I'd love to talk about that just now. But do you think you'd handle that differently now, knowing what you know and learned what you've learned? That being, again, vulnerable, being exposed to the public?
Yes, because I think in the past, maybe it was just because I was younger, but I was very much like, News of the World wanted to interview me. Yes. MD, any press, I'll take. I want to get in the papers. I want people to know me. Now I'd be a bit more choosy.
Aye.
And I would think about it. And I did a thing recently with the Sun, well, maybe about a year ago actually, about my mindfulness, teaching mindfulness. And they asked me questions that I was uncomfortable with, and I just didn't answer. I said no. Then I did a thing with the Herald, and it was great, but when it came out, I was on the front page of the Herald, which was quite, I didn't expect that, but my picture next to I fought the bullies or something like that, and when I talk to somebody, I give them everything, and I forgot that this was going to go and get published. So I'd said about how I've been, about being, because he asked me about being gay and being at school, and I said that one day I remember guys verbally abusing me and spitting on my back, and it was quite humiliating. But then he put that on the front page of the Herald, and I didn't want that on the front page of the Herald. And then the piece that was in, I spoke about my dad being an alcoholic, and I will tell everybody who needs to know that my dad was an alcoholic, because there's a lot of shame attached to having a parent that's an alcoholic, and I felt that shame, and I would never want another young person, child, or anybody to feel that shame because their parents have got any kind of addiction issue. So I said that, and then he'd also put a thing, and it was something about my dad's love or something like that. And so as soon as I seen it, I had to phone on my family and go, "That's not what I said. He twisted my words." I did kind of say it, but it wasn't the words that he put in. So it's not a nice thing.
I think there's a couple of interesting things there, but that I want to pick up on. So that, again, something that we look a lot into, and Kelly more so than me, is about addiction and trauma, and where all this comes from. And I think it's important to say that nobody really chooses that life. They're not choosing addiction. There's always some sort of underlying issue, trauma that's caused that. So that's something that I've learned over the last couple of years, learning all that kind of stuff. So we got deep quite quickly there, didn't we?
No, I listened. The only kind of conversation I want is to get there. I spend a lot of my time having small talk, so it's really, I'm interested in having conversations like this, because I want to, if I've maybe watched something or read something, I want to get it out my body, because then I can it's a way of processing it, but also want to hear what other people have got to say, because I want to get informed as well. There's
a chap, Gabor Mate, I don't know if you've heard of him.
Oh my God, I was just going to say him. I've just been listening to him and watched his film. What's it called?
Oh, I can't remember the name of it. We watched
something Trauma, or like Beautiful Trauma, something like that.
The
Wisdom in Trauma.
That's it. Beautiful Trauma's a song, isn't it? Who did that?
Beautiful.
I've got it in my head now.
Beautiful Disaster.
I don't know. We're all over the place. He's a fascinating guy. Russell Brand as well.
Well, Russell Brand, I can't.
No, do you not like
too many big words?
Aye, fair enough.
It's like you have to pause and go and Google each word. I don't think it's necessary. I think he's alienating a lot of people, me included. I mean, and I love Russell Brand, and I love his intention. I love it, but I think there's just too many big words in there.
Aye, just make it plain English and layman's terms.
I had to say that. I don't know why, but I had to say.
No, that's
I want
fine.
him to just make it English, because I love what he does. I love his intention. I just don't understand it.
But that's important as well, because different people resonate with different people, and the message is conveyed in different ways. So that, with the way Gabor Mate will talk, maybe that will sink the message in more, because he does talk in really simple terms.
Yeah, but that's why when I think about that, I go, that's why I'm dyslexic.
Aye.
So I can speak because it's like I try to keep, when I'm teaching, I try to keep it as real as possible. I try to keep it, and I'll talk about my life, and I'll talk about how I was in the petrol station and I saw all the sweeties looking at me, and 8-year-old Edward was going by me. You know, 8-year-old Edward was saying, "You deserve a treat, you never got it." And then I just pick up 3 things, and then I'm eating them on the way out my car, and I'm not being mindful. So it's you want to keep it as real as possible.
That was my struggle as well, just talking about food. I had bulimia growing up in my teen years, right through into my 30s. I had bulimia as well, and it was that there's a lot of shame attached to that as well, and it's trying to understand, unpick all that. Where does that come from? It's really prevalent at the moment. What's his name? Freddie Flintoff did a really good documentary on it. He's got bulimia, and he was really open about it. It was a fascinating documentary.
It's good that people at his profile are coming out and saying that, because especially a man, because I always think bulimia is attached to, because it was always women that were in the press. So it's not exciting, but you know what I mean. It's good that that there's a conversation about it now.
I want to touch a little bit on the bullying side of things. That's something I experienced. I grew up, again, not a million miles away from you. You were in Coatbridge, I was Bells Hill. I had similar experience to you. People thought I was gay. I can be quite, I don't know, effeminate camp at times, I suppose, especially now when I'm out performing. I don't mind, because that's just, it's not an intentional thing, it's just that's what I do. And I let that go, I let it flow. But I had that as well, you know, the people spitting on your back and stuff, all that kind of stuff. How did that impact your journey going forward, you know, going out and performing and finding yourself as a performer? Or did that help you escape it?
Well, I feel I love a ladies' lunch. I'm really on forum at a ladies' lunch because I feel safe with feminine energy. I grew up with a mum and two sisters and lots of aunties and lots of female cousins. My dad was an alcoholic who would just watch television or be drunk, so I didn't get that much. And my brother was just, he was dealing with issues. He was just out being a boy, and then ended up going out fighting and stuff like that. So I never really connected with him back then, do now. But I was just surrounded by, and I felt safe with women. So I think in school, going to school, I kind of gravitated towards certain guys, because other guys that were too masculine terrified me. And now, as a performer, I have to really work hard, because there's a voice inside me saying, the guys don't like you, you're too gay. You're too camp, they're not interested in that. But actually, guys love that. Guys who are comfortable in their own skin love that. Guys who know who they are happy with it, and they're great with it. So that's something that I suppose my bully. But then I think sometimes what happens in your house, how you are made feel valuable in your house, you then take to school, and then other people can see how vulnerable you are, and that's how they pick on you. Because if you're being bullied at home, you're going to be bullied everywhere, and you're going to carry it through your life. I was very self-conscious about clothes, and I always used to have people pass and comment, nice shirt, that's bright, isn't it? And I remember about 2 years ago, I bought pink Louboutins, right, and they were outrageous, and there were spikes on them, and then my brother's pal went, look at the state of them, they're a bit bright. I went, thanks very much, I think they're beautiful. And I just looked at them, and I was just like, I've lost all respect for you now. Whereas, cut to me, maybe 20 years ago, I would have been, I'm not wearing them again. So I think the point I'm trying to make here is, I've had to work on myself and my self-worth. And now when I go out into the world, I'm not an easy pick. Nobody can pick on me as easily. So, I don't know, I think I've been off tangenting about bullies, but I think I was a target for bullies. Because, in fact, my big brother was mental at school, right? So everybody knew that if they touched me, he'd batter them.
Right.
So I was very lucky that way. But these guys clearly didn't know who my big brother was. That's why they battered my back. But I think, I think it's how you perceive yourself that makes you a target for bullies, and not just in the playground, but in the workplace, and you know, anywhere, and in a shop, you know, in a car, you know, when people feel the right to just road rage at you. It's because of the energy you're giving out, because of the conversation you have with yourself in your house. I think that's an interesting point. I've never thought about it that way, but me being the age I am now, and God love her, I love my mum to bits, but I view my relationship with my mum now, and it's not changed much since I was 18, 19. But I'll go in and it's always just that, oh, you had your hair cut? Oof. When they finishing it? Like wee comments, wee comments like that, but she doesn't mean anything by it. It's just like,
I'm hesitant to say it in case she listens to this, but she's just, she won't, she's just,
Mum, we love you.
and I love her, but it's just that's her ways, and again, it's just now I brush it off, and it's just like, just her being her, and I don't take it to heart, where when I was younger, and that probably did influence how I went out and saw the world and allowed others to treat me. So it's a really interesting point.
Yeah, I mean, we really should be in a household where love is nurtured, where we're nurtured, where love is cultivated. Sorry, where everything is just, you're made to feel safe and protected. You asked me about something that people can take away. We'll talk about that. And your mum probably reacts like that because that's what she experienced.
Aye, absolutely, and she's never. So I've went out and got the help I've needed over the years. I've seen an amazing life coach. I'm working with a guy just now that the Energy Flow guy, cheap plug for him.
Who's he? Tell me about him.
Stephen Murray. He's amazing. He's all about getting your body in balance. Works a lot with doing yoga, but it's not just about that. Gut health, your mental health, getting your full body in balance.
I need him in my life.
He's amazing, fantastic guy.
I'm sitting here going like that because I think I'm at the right angle. Hiding my belly. That after lockdown, I need somebody like that in my life. I'll get his details.
He's fantastic. Him and his Mrs. Claire. So they came into our life about 3 months ago. So I turned 40 in September, so Kelly and I get each other experiences now for our birthdays. So we'd got, she booked us in to see Claire and Stephen, and it was a Reiki session, and we just clicked with them immediately. So I've been working with Stephen. He's an amazing guy, really amazing guy. He is at a stage, and I'm sure he wouldn't mind me saying this, so he is part of his course that I'm doing with him. It's like a pamphlet he gives you. And again, much like we'll go on and talk about him, like David Hamilton, it's written in that way that it's really, you can understand it, it's backed up with science and evidence, and it's really easy to get your head round. So it's really easy to digest, but he's at that stage where he's not pushing himself as much as he should, and he's one of these guys that amazing energy about him, and he should be out there speaking to much larger audiences and people and spreading his message.
I think you see other people out there and you think, wow, I wish I had their gumption, wish I had their nerve to just go out and do it, because I get that, because I want to just stay in a wee safe bubble. Whereas I think, you know what, everything's all right. And then I use the excuse, this is everything. When it's what will change, it will change. But funny thing is, I'm seeing a lot of things being put in front of me about taking risks and putting yourself out there. And I did a TikTok yesterday. I did one, and I was like, right, I need to start doing this. Maybe this is what I need to do. So I didn't want to do it, but I thought, you know what, I don't want to do it, but I'm going to do it.
Aye.
So, and I think that guy, it's one of those things about putting yourself out there. The risk of being rejected is horrendous, because this is what he's got is his baby, not a physical baby, but and to be rejected or to be criticised for it is really hard. I know that, but like wanting to put music out, singing songs out in social media, I'm terrified, because I don't mind singing live, but putting it on there for people to then just trash it, it's terrifying.
The thing is, but you're an amazing singer, and I think people get lost, and that's one of the big takeaways I took away from working with you, is like, wow, what a voice.
Thank you.
I think with the people get caught up in the nursery rhyme thing a bit, makes you stand out and memorable. People remember that, but they forget this guy can actually sing.
Unless you're into music and you know music, you will see it, because people look up and I sang an Italian song. In fact, I didn't sing it. It was called The Prayer, right? And I sang it with a girl who sang it in Italian and I sang it in English. And people who have seen me perform and seen me sing songs that are higher notes, wow, I did not know you could sing like that. And I was like, open your mind to listen, because I was singing a song that was like in the same key as Tina Turner or Lionel Lewis last week, and you didn't recognise it. So I just go, but you find that, see if you sing a song in Italian, you get a standing ovation, and I work with people and they do it, and you're like that, they come off the note. They were pitchy all the way through that. That was not a nice, beautiful sound. That was just shouting in Italian, basically.
Aye.
So, and then like a standing ovation. I've just let go of that because I just think. But thanks for saying that, because I was singing and I was like, oh God, what am I doing singing? I'm actually rotten. But I'm not in that world anymore as much.
Aye. No, you're amazing singer. And the full range of songs you went through, because I didn't know what to expect. You did the Britain's Got Talent bit, but then you went and done a full set, and I had just no idea what to expect. I thought, wow. It's
funny. The best compliment. I was doing a thing and a girl says, "You've just sang Do a Dear from The Sound of Music, and then you sang Don't You Worry Child by is it Avicii."
Aye.
And I was, she went, "Where did you get that?" I went, "Me," because I remember like when I first started singing in pubs, and a friend that sang in pubs went, "You'll need to sing Ring of Fire, you'll need to sing Gambler." I went, "No, I'm singing Secret Love and Do a Dear," and she was like, "Nope, not in pubs you won't." I went, "That's what I want to sing." And she went, "No, it won't go down well." And I went, "Well, I'm singing it now." See, back then I had more nerve than I do now, funnily enough, right? Because I went, I'm singing it, I'm singing it. If they don't like it, they don't like it. Because I think because I had nothing to lose back then. Now I know it's my living. Like, I'm doing an event this Sunday, and I was thinking of singing an Adele song. She was like, "Do whatever you want." But then when we spoke about it, I went, "No, that's not appropriate at that time. I'll just do an uplifting one to get everybody on standing at their seats." So yeah, sometimes I'm too busy thinking about the audience rather than not thinking about the audience, thinking about what I think the audience need. But sometimes they just need a ballad. You know?
Sometimes you know.
Aye, you read them.
So let's talk a wee bit, dive a wee bit more into the mindfulness work. So
I know we're all over the place. I'm sorry.
No. That's the way that I work. Interestingly enough, about a week into my relationship with Kelly, she said, "You've got ADHD." So she's like, and then after reading Gabor Mate, I was like, aye, absolutely. I can understand that.
Maybe I've got a wee bit then, because I'm
all over the place.
I want it now, I want another way.
I've not been to a doctor or anything. I don't think there's any need.
Listen, Google's the best self-diagnosis.
Aye, that's it.
I've seen somebody that's quite similar to me. I think I've got it.
So let's dive into that a wee bit. The work that you do with mindfulness and the different charities you work with and things of that nature. So
I'm so I get into mindfulness meditation because of being in Britain's Got Talent and having to go to different parts of the country and perform. And again, these black tie events where I was just this wee numpty for Coatbridge thinking, who do you think you are? And I had total imposter syndrome, and I was unhappy. When I would do the gig, it would be all right, it would be amazing, but the lead up to it, I just had so much anxiety. Back then, I didn't call it anxiety. Anxiety wasn't a word that we used as regular as we do now. So that was just who I was, I thought. And then somebody says, "You should meditate," and I was like, "Bolt, I'm not meditating. I medicate. I'll just have a bottle of wine, thanks." And then I realised that somebody showed me to meditate, and I loved it, and I started doing it. I struggled with it at the start, as everybody does. But I get into it, and then I went and studied how to become a meditation teacher, and then I focused more on mindfulness because I found that was easier. Maybe not easier, but it made more sense to me. So now I'm teaching it, and thanks to that I got work during lockdown because I was teaching online.
So for people that don't know, how would you describe mindfulness?
Mindfulness is an awareness. I've just been aware. I've been present in what you're doing or what's happening in that moment. So if you're washing your dishes, because often when so I'll tell you an example. I was putting clothes on my clothes horse, right? And I was raging because I was like, I need staff. I should have staff. I'm fed up doing one washing. So as I was doing it, I was getting annoyed, and I was just like throwing them on, and I wanted it over and done with, right? And then I realised that this is something right now in my life. I don't have staff right now. I don't have staff, but I have to do it. It needs to be done. So I can approach it with anger and annoyance, and I can approach it mindfully and do it and be present when I'm doing it. So now it is a mindful activity. So I hang my pants up because you don't want them damp, you know what I mean? And it now it's turned into an art form. So instead of thinking, I need to get this over and done with, I don't want to do it, and having that anxiety running through my body, I approach it and I go, this needs to be done, so I may as well do it with peace. But the biggest thing for me for mindfulness was being awareness and being aware that your thoughts aren't real. And that took me, when somebody said that to me, and I was like, your thoughts are real, but they're not real. They're just your imagination. But that took me about 2 years to get my head round. And again, I get another example of when I have had a wild night out. I'm lying in bed the next day and I've got the fear, right? And I'm like, what did I do? Who did I insult? What table did I stand on? Whose king rib did I eat? And all that thing that you go through. And then I realise it's just thoughts. And especially because I'm hungover, I'm dehydrated, you know, I'm not my normal self. So they thoughts are even worse.
Aye.
And I'm able to, hangovers are nowhere near as bad now because I just recognise them as fearful thoughts and they're not real. And I go, do you know what? I'm just going to enjoy my hangover. I'm going to rehydrate, get the electrolytes back in my body, and then I'm going to have a think clearly about what I did last night. And normally it's a case of like, now you go, oh my, you got a text, oh my God, you were wild last night. You're like, what did I do? What did I say? And then it's much easier to navigate a hangover. Not that I'm encouraging people to like go out and get drunk and then try mindfulness, but it's just every aspect of my life has changed because of mindfulness. So being aware that your thoughts aren't real, just being present in what you're doing, and I think living in the present moment. There's a great saying: if you're depressed, you're probably living in the past. If you're anxious, you're probably living in the future. And if you're at peace, you're probably living in the now. So that's like in my pocket every day of the week.
I read a book, Eckhart Tolle, The Power of Now.
So is it Eckhart Tolle or Eckhart Tolle?
I don't know. Tolle just sounds like a jobby to me. So I don't know.
I need to nip away for an Eckhart. Totally be in the moment when I'm in the pan.
I'm never quite sure. But I read that, I don't know, maybe about 7 or 8 years ago, and I couldn't wrap my head around it.
Right. Okay.
But then I came back to it.
Right.
And again, it's been in the journey I've been on where I probably wasn't ready for something. Again, the same as you, somebody said, like, you need to go meditate. I'm like, what?
Right.
No, I don't. Where I was just probably nearer the beginning of my kind of self-help journey and whatnot. Never quite sure what to call that as well. Self-help's got a lot of stigma attached to it, that phrase, but I don't see why it should, to be honest. You know, people should be self-improvement maybe.
Self-improvement, it sounds a bit better,
Aye.
But there's nothing to improve, but there's nothing to, because I always think right now you're perfect and tomorrow you'll be perfect, yesterday you were perfect. The story you attached to that was not, maybe you didn't think you were perfect, but so I suppose you're aware, you're awakening, you're continually awakening. I don't know what I call it either, because I get a wee bit scared when I say things like that out loud, because I think that sounds a bit,
I know,
I'm in a journey and like my path is unfolding. It's a bit EK with me as well. But
well, that chap I was talking to you about, the bearded tarot guy, that's his whole message is people attach labels to things, even like veganism and stuff like that, and then you're supposed to be a certain way. Well, you should just live and just go with the flow and see how things turn out, rather than attaching labels to things and, well, I'm on a journey, I'm awakened and whatnot, and just be you. So who are some of the... Can
I just go back to the Power of Now? So I bought the book, couldn't read it, I couldn't take it in. I listened to him on podcasts, there was like an invisible thing between me and Eckhart Tolle, and then maybe it was Eve and I was like, I had this guy, and I love Oprah, and she was going on about him, and then she did a classroom with him on A New Earth, his other book, and then she did podcast. I listened to it and I was still, have you had a Blinkist?
Aye.
I've been reading it on that. And I get it. I get what the pain body is. I really get what the ego is now. It's nothing new what he's saying. He's just saying it in a certain way.
Aye.
Because of what I know about mindfulness and meditation and awareness, what he's saying, I'm going, all right, I get it now. I don't think he's that groundbreaking. In fact, I think he's actually a wee bit detached from life. Because when I'm talking like to people who have lost kids, and then you think about what he says about death, it doesn't match up.
Aye.
He's clearly never lost a child. So he can't, I feel as if he's a wee bit too, maybe he's that evolved, maybe he just hovers, he doesn't even actually walk anymore, because he's so evolved. I just don't think he's in touch with real life that the rest of us are like. So you need to keep it real.
You do get that with some authors, I suppose, and you can tell when you see them talk. You go, well, aye.
When was the last time you put a power card in, pal?
50 pence in the back of the telly. Aye. I get that, and he's the way that he talks, he's quite calm and serene.
And some people love it, and that's great, and I think it's great that he's brought a lot of peace. It took me have you Blinkist is amazing.
I'll need to check it out. I've heard of it, but I've not.
Because I'm dyslexic, and I buy all these, I call them shelf help books, because they buy them and they go on a shelf.
Aye.
I don't really read them. But Blinkist, I go through the book and then I decide. But then, like, I bought a book the other night, the Geber, what do you call him, Geber Mate?
Aye.
And then I was listening to it, and then I went and listened to a podcast, and I went, I don't need to read that book anymore. Because everything that he said in that podcast, I feel enriched by that podcast.
Aye.
He said, now maybe if you're that type of person that you want to read a book, that's great. Not me.
Aye.
Not me.
He's an amazing guy. I know we've spoke about him already, but his message, and he really resonates for me. He's along the same lines as kind of David Hamilton and stuff like that for me. What about some of the people you've helped with mindfulness? Do you mind having a chat about that? Some of the types of journeys they've been on and how you've helped?
Well, I am just passionate about mindfulness and how I'm a different person with it. So I like to share it with people if they listen. So I love because I try to keep everything upbeat, and I think it's just a different approach from what other people have had, and especially people who are serious or use big words. Somebody might be alienated by that, and they might switch off. I think the biggest compliment I've ever had from people is that they made it. What's the word? Appetizing, was that the word to use? But they made it was almost like I made it not approachable, but I made it easy to absorb. And they also said they laughed into relaxation. And when I started doing this, that was my intention. But I thought, no, you can't do that. Nobody does that. Now, I'm not a comedian, but the way I set it up, I try to relax people, and they're laughing. So then, laughter is such a good thing because it relaxes your body. Then it's easier to relax. Because if you're tense, it's harder to relax. So, but I've worked with various people that have had cancer, people that have experienced death with family members, loved ones. Mindfulness doesn't cure anything. It doesn't take away your grief. It doesn't take away the fact that you had cancer or an illness, but it gives you tools to be able to get through the day, or when you're in bed at night. There's techniques you can put in place. I think more so, it just allows you to feel the feelings and know that it's okay to feel those feelings. You're not saying it's okay not to be okay.
Aye.
I had a problem with that because I'm kind of mostly all sunshine and lollipops, right? I want to be happy. I think that's our default setting is joy. But when you're going through pain, it's okay. You're allowed to feel that pain because that's why we're having this physical experience, I think, because we're allowed to eat chocolate, vegan chocolate, drink wine, experience the sun, experience the wind, and feel emotions, every single different emotion we should feel as we go through our life. To me, if you're on a negative emotion, you're on a low vibration. You don't want to be in that low vibration all the time. You want to be reaching for a high vibration. Like when you see a 2-year-old dancing about the living room, singing and making noises, not caring, that's the vibration we want to go on. I'm not saying we should go up and dance about a nappy on or anything like that, but we should be on that where everything's easy and simple.
So what can someone do to raise their energy levels, raise the vibration? How could somebody go about that?
Well, I always do a thing where I think, right, we'll do it with you tonight, right? Say it out loud if you want, right? So I want you to think about how you're feeling physically,
right?
Mentally, like how's your head? Are you concentrated? Are you focused? How are you feeling emotionally? Are you happy? Are you sad? Are your self-worth good? And then how are you feeling spiritually? I don't mean religion. I mean, do you feel connected to other people? Do you feel an inner peace? Do you feel grateful? Do you trust? And thinking about all those things I've just asked you, I want you to give it a number. Between 1 and 10. 1 is pure heavy rotten, and 10 is fabulous. So give it a number in between there.
So for all of those things combined,
all those things, put them together,
right?
And then give them all the one number. Put them all together.
Right. Okay.
Because all those 4 things are you as a complete human being. I think.
I'll give it a 7.
7. Right. So do that every morning, right, and then do it throughout your day. But alongside that, I want you, when you wake up in the morning, I want you to think of things you're grateful for. So when I wake up, I'm like, well, I've woke up. And then I get this lovely sheet out of TK Maxx. It's 3,000 Egyptian cotton, whatever you call it. It's in the clearance. I've got Joe Malone shower gel. I've even got the one for Aldi's as well. It's and then I've got bagels and I've got coffee. I go, actually, I'm up at an 8 now. And then I go, right, hold on. I've got people on my phone that I can text. I can people that I love that I can communicate with. Then I'm up at a 9. Aye. I'm really greeting. So tell me 3 things you're grateful for.
I'm grateful to have the opportunity to be cheesy now, to be sitting having the opportunity to talk to you, just to be having the opportunity to do this type of thing. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Grateful for the home that I live in and the family that I've got.
It's lovely. Mm-hmm. So that's 3, right? So you were at 7. Thinking of those things now, where are you now?
Aye, it does raise that up.
Right.
Aye,
so it's simple as that, because earlier I was telling you about the sec thing. I had to take a sec because I'm just trying to be quirky and make something up, right? But I always say to people, when you're down at number 2, 3 or 4, right, it's because you don't feel safe, you don't feel good enough, and you're comparing yourself to other people or the way things used to be for you. So when you don't feel safe, you're terrified. It freezes you, and you don't feel good enough. You don't think you're going to cope with the day ahead of you, because whatever the unsafety happens, you're not going to cope with it. And if you're comparing yourself with people outside or on Facebook or social media, you're going to tear yourself apart. You're going to look, well, I don't have that, so that doesn't mean that I'm a good enough person. Or you can go, well, before COVID I was 2 stone lighter, or when I was younger I could run a marathon. I can't do it now. Especially I do that with a lot of people that have cancer, because they're angry at their body for not being able to do the things that they used to do. And I go, you need to let that go, because this actually is a new improved body. This body's been through cancer.
Aye.
This is phenomenal, this body. Look what it's done. It's got you here. So I always think what you need to do is make yourself feel safe. Remind yourself that you're good enough. You've always been good enough. You always will be good enough, and not to compare yourself with other people. So that is a thing. How you do that, I think, is an individual thing, and you can just look at what makes you feel unsafe.
The comparison thing's really interesting, because again, going back to what we're saying about this celebrity culture, is again I see my 2 daughters going that way. They're just comparing constantly because they're on Instagram, they're on TikTok, and I think it's changed days from when we were young. Yeah, you just didn't have these things when you were younger.
I think we did have it, but we didn't have it in our hand.
Aye.
And I think the best thing you can do with your daughters is to take time with them, and without them knowing, you feed them words, so they create neural pathways about who they are. And then before they know it, they'll allow those things to happen. So you just need to get creative in how you communicate to your daughters and how you say to them. I found a thing that my mum gave me the other day when I was clearing out. It's a beautiful thing. It says you're special, and it just talks about how we're unique and how we're here for a reason, and how we're here to do a job that nobody else can do. We're here for a purpose. Nobody has your laugh, nobody has your smile, all that kind of stuff. And I was like, I'm going to read that once a week.
Aye.
Because I need to remind myself that. And it's not being conceited, because I think this is a thing where we live. It's like, oh, here we go, he's reading about how special he is. And I have that voice in my head as well, even when I'm saying it in a podcast, I'm like, God, people might think I'm conceited. But then I go, whether they think I'm conceited, that's their business. I need to work. I need to do whatever it works to help me get out of the house and to help me do things. And that's a thing that really resonated with me, especially because my mum gave me it. So I think when your parent gives you something, you need to be aware of just how you're spending time with them, what you're doing, and also you're the role model. So you need to be very aware of what you're saying about yourself, And if you're comparing yourself to other people, so they're watching.
I'm terrible for that. I'll be self-deprecating, but in a comedic way. But again, your mind.
I do that. I use humour.
Your mind doesn't know the difference.
No,
so
doesn't.
I'll take that in. We'll talk a little bit. We've got David Hamilton we're going to be talking to later on today. Can't wait to talk to him.
But it's funny because when you were talking about kindness, I was just going to say, listen, but can we talk about something else? Because just go and read about David Hamilton because he'll tell you all about it.
Amazing guy, absolutely amazing. So going to have the chance to talk to him later. By the way, Kelly could sit and talk to you an entire podcast about just trauma and stuff like that. She would love to talk to you.
That's in a couple of weeks then.
She would love that. David Hamilton, we'll talk a little bit about him, and then you wanted to talk about plant-based diet, so
yes.
we'll bring it back to that. And I've got some plant-based chocolate through there, so we'll try a wee bit of that, see what you think of that, if you can taste the difference, because our taste buds have adapted. So we found it really difficult to begin with to find a good vegan cheese. But our taste buds have adapted. So in fact, we've got a vegan cheese through there, Mike.
I'd like to try.
I'll get you to try that because I think it's nice, but I think it's just I've been vegan for a few years now, so it's I might have just adapted.
Yes.
So we'll do that.
But that's what it is, because we've adapted all our life. We were given food.
Aye.
And that's what you like. Do you know what I mean? And it's funny because I was kind of vegan when I didn't know it, because I didn't like egg, and I didn't eat cheese, and I didn't really like milk. I would have butter in my toast, that was it. And I don't like meat really. I like chicken or fish, but I would never go for that towards. And then like 4 years ago, I started liking egg and cheese. I don't know what it is. I think apparently your palate changes every 7 years.
Oh, does it?
Apparently, but I'm just, it's funny because but I'm also just very lazy. I mean, I don't know. I think I could be vegan. I'm interested in it. I think for health wise, for me, it would be good. But I'm just very lazy when it comes to like. I would be like, I don't want to be like, what's in that? Because there's milk and crisps.
That's exactly what I was going to say to you. There's milk and egg and so many different things. It's just hidden in there.
Because yesterday thinking about this, I googled bread recipe because I was like, because I did a thing. So I told you I bought vegan butter.
Aye.
And or vegan spread, whatever it's called. So I made it the other day and I put garlic in it, and then I put it on toast. Is that all I put on it? I think that, so just garlic, and I was like, I'm eating, this is vegan, and I went, oh, hold on, is the bread vegan?
Aye.
I don't know,
most vegan is, most bread is
this
vegan.
bread's called milk bread, milk loaf.
Oh right, okay. Probably not.
Have you ever seen it? It's like wee Teletubby.
Aye, I used to get that. Aye.
So maybe it is, but I didn't even think what it's called.
I used to love that in a plain loaf. I'm sure a plain loaf would be.
Aye, I don't like a plain loaf.
No.
Too doughy. I don't like dough.
Aye, don't like dough.
I don't like dough. I don't like rice.
Don't like rice.
I don't like certain rice. And I'm really going off pasta just now as well.
Right. I think the thing with veganism and going towards a plant-based diet, so there's two triggers for it. It's either health or ethical reasons you're doing it. But I think the thing is, people, and that is the thing that puts a lot of people off, is, as you say, I'm too lazy. It's just, there's a lot to think about to begin with, but I think a lot of people, they can overcomplicate it a wee bit.
Yeah. But also I think, like you're saying that, like I think, right, what is a true vegan? Because do you stop wearing leather shoes? Do you stop wearing leather? Do you even take a dog from its mum? Because that's...
I know.
Yeah, so it's like... So that to me, when I think about all that, I go, you know what, I can't do that. too much. But weirdly enough, right, before you even contacted me about this, one of my guilty pleasures is watching vegan chefs on YouTube.
Right.
Because I'm fascinated about the things they do. I like when they keep it simple. See when they add aminos and all that, and they make it, and they get that stuff that smells like egg, or that smells. I go, no, I'm not the one at my cupboard. I don't. That's if you're not going to eat egg, you're not going to eat egg, right? I just think you shouldn't eat. You shouldn't try and have a supplement for it.
Aye.
So I kind of turns me up, but I love, because I go, oh my god, how creative is that they've went and sourced that and then making that. Because I always think, see when I'm doing events, and it's just chicken. I get now asked for the vegetarian option because it's much nicer.
Aye.
Because chicken's just chicken.
Aye.
I mean, there's not much effort put into it. But vegetarian option, I think they have to think outside the box. So in that respect, because I love food, I'm like, what's vegan? Yeah, let me try it. I'm interested in trying it. But
you're right, but I mean, I think again, a lot of people do think, how far do you go with it? And I think, as you say, your shoes, even I've got Mr. Happy socks on. Your furniture that you've got, you know, finding out where you've sourced that. The companies that you're buying things from, you know, you people going to that length, you know, Starbucks for instance, or you've got McDonald's that have just released a McPlant burger, a vegan burger, so things like that. So to me, what I say is just try your best.
Well, and also what I was going to say is, like, I think it's exciting that Greg's will get a vegan sausage roll.
Aye.
But is it not like 3 times the price the normal?
Well, they've brought it down now. They've brought it down now. It's in line with it.
So to be vegan is quite expensive as well. So it's a bit unfair.
Well, it can be. So this is the thing. If you're buying all the meat replacements and stuff like that, it is. But see if you're making it predominantly plant based. So buying lots of fruit and veg, grains, right? Maybe not rice. But
well, I like some kind of rice, but just I think when I'm out, I think it's fried rice I don't like, and it bloats me.
Aye.
It bloats me really badly, so I don't.
We found that as well because our diet's been stripped back so much. We keep it fairly simple.
Right, so sorry for cutting you off.
No.
You should do a rest because people need this. Like, people, I need simple. Like, I like people to talk simple. I like people to cook simple. So you should be doing more of this and putting it out there for people to access.
So on this channel before it was rebranded, so it was called Spawn Again Vegan.
Yeah.
And that was just me doing wee cooking videos. So there's some cooking videos there.
Right.
I was too lazy with it. Lockdown went the other way for me. Where I should have been using that as an opportunity to really nail that.
Oh, I'm glad you said that because me too.
But I can't be arsed getting that camera out.
No, but I think lockdown for me, it was like, yes, a holiday. I've been working so hard before it. I went, and it was like a guilt-free lying on the couch because this is only going to last for a couple of weeks.
Aye.
I did not realise it was going to last.
Well, I didn't realise how knackered I was until I stopped because I'd working my day job, out DJing, doing some cooking videos and stuff like that. We've got the kids, and then we stopped. It just stopped. I was still doing my day job, but I was working from home. But at that point, I was able just to sit and rest.
But right, okay, because this is now I see to you, I used to work 6 days a week. The more you do, the more you do.
Aye.
Now I'm a part-timer. I'm like that. I'm having a day off.
Aye.
And I'm not as creative because I'm having to re-educate myself on what a day off looks like. Because a day off for me is lying on the couch watching a marathon of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills.
Golden Girls is on Disney Plus.
I need to get back.
It's amazing.
I know I love Golden Girls. So I need to check, right, what is a day off for me? A day off is no internet, you know. So,
aye.
But you're right. But I think because you were so busy, the more you do, the more you do.
Aye. Well, I just stopped, and I should have done more cooking videos, but there are some there under the old Spawn Again branding. But we'll just keep them up there for people. But that's a plan to do more, and they'll be really simple, nutritious ones. Although we've done one for because I think again, life's about balance. You should be allowed a treat every now and then. So I'd done one for a vegan Biscoff cheesecake because we'd been to Costa and they had it and it was amazing, but it was only the once and you couldn't get it anywhere. So I thought I'll just make it. So that's really nice, just doing me things like that.
Biscoff is vegan?
Aye, Biscoff's vegan.
That's good to know.
Aye. So to me, for people, it's just try your best. It's just...
Yeah. I remember my nephew used to go out with somebody who was vegan, and it was always difficult for them because they couldn't get to restaurants. And in fact, I was out with them one time in London, and it was a pasta restaurant, and we looked at the menu, and there was vegan pasta with a vegan. It was a vegan sauce. So he was like, "I'm fine with that." We walked in, and my nephew said, and one of us are vegan, but that's fine. They sat us down. And then we sat for about 20 minutes before they came up and took the order. And when we ordered the vegan pasta, they were like, "We don't have any vegan pasta." So we were like, that a waste of time because we've sat here for 20 minutes. But then my nephew was quite right. He went, "You make pasta in-house?" Because it was like an actual Italian. It was gorgeous. He went, "You make pasta in-house and you've got no vegan pasta? And the pasta's made fresh?" And they were like, "Oh yeah, hold on," and went back. And it was just a weird experience. But it was like, you shouldn't have vegan stuff on the menu and then say there's none. You know?
Well, we had that experience last week. I get dine out vouchers for my birthday off my friend, and we went somewhere with the kids. I won't name it; it wouldn't be fair. But they do a lot of carvery stuff. It's only carvery stuff they do. Well, they got a menu and stuff. You can join the dots and figure out where it is yourself.
I've never been to Carvery.
Have you not?
Is that what they have? Is it a buffet?
Aye, but it's just big bits of meat.
Right,
Aye.
okay. Is it Bells Hill?
Aye.
Ah, right, I know what it is.
So we went in there, and I've been that used to not eating meat. It's just the smell of it now just kind of turns my stomach. Yeah. But there was a couple of vegan options on the menu. I'd phoned the night before to say, look, a couple of vegans coming. Do you have vegan stuff in? Yep, absolutely. Loads of stuff there. And again, same situation. Said to the kids, took my mum out as well. Just said, go and you guys just get that. We'll order this. We'd ordered it and they came back and said, no, sorry, we don't have that. I said, right, okay, well, can we have that then? And don't have that either. Says, could you just let us know what vegan options you've got? Right, no bother. She came back and it was like salmon on croûte and stuff like that. I'm like, no. That's no. That's
I was thinking about on croûte because there's clearly butter in the pastry. But the salmon's
the biggest issue. So, aye. You don't get that a lot now.
It reminds me, you ever seen that episode of The Royal Family where the son brings a girlfriend in and she's like, no, I'm vegetarian, and they go, oh, that's such a shame. And the granny goes, what's the mum's name? She goes, it's Brenda. Brenda, can you not give her some wafer thin ham? So, yeah, it's just, I mean, I guess, like, I sometimes forget as well about vegan. I would go and do something. Now I know to look at the ingredients because I didn't realise how much milk was in things. But then I would get like a potato salad and think that's vegan, but then forgetting that the mayonnaise. Oh God, so yeah, but look where the world has came from with options for vegans and a plant-based diet. So I think it's just going to get better.
It's different level now. I think even compared to 3 years ago, when we were first starting our journey with it, you look at it now, the vegan aisle in Tesco or Asda is huge.
But also I think you, and I'm not to sound horrible to any brand or anything like that, but if you're going to put processed food in your body, you're going to put processed food in your body. And that's vegan processed food or meat. So if you're being creative in the kitchen, I think that's what we want to go towards.
I think that's it. And as you said, it's very, very expensive to go out and buy fake bacon.
Right, hold on, and like bacon fries.
Bacon, so
Frazzles.
and you get the wee they are, and you get the wee bacon bits you get. They're vegan.
Oh, are they?
Aye.
But also it's like, so see for me, it's like the intention behind it.
Mm-hmm.
So you still want to taste the animal.
Aye.
Whereas see when you get those things, and I've seen one in kids' nurseries, and it's like the elephant, a teddy bear elephant coming out the wall, and the deer, and I go, oh, that's cute, and I go, well, actually no, because the intention is you want to cut off an animal's head and put it on your wall.
Aye.
So the intention makes me sick. Like, it's funny because I wouldn't think twice about eating a bit of chicken, right? Because that's all I've done all my life. But the thought of seeing a real elephant up there makes me disgusted by it.
Aye.
You know, because you think poor elephant, but poor chicken.
I know.
You know?
But there's that thing, people have got that, like dogs, and people have got that connection and a certain way of thinking about some animals, but not with others.
Well, my dad, when he gets sober, there was lots of things he wanted to do, which was great. And one of them was have chickens and ducks.
Right.
And his plan was to have chickens and ducks and then eat them.
Aye.
But my mum gave them all names.
Oh.
And that was it. They could not be eaten after that. And then actually, one winter it was really cold. My mum brought them into the kitchen. It was like poo everywhere. It was like, and I remember I lived in the house at the time, and one time one of the chickens got up the stairs, and we were in my house. My pal walked out, and he was quite funny, and he was like, he got up and he went, I think I'm tripping, there's a chicken at the top of your stairs. But the priest would come down and go, one of your chickens are up in the church, the chapel grounds. So it was very much the good life, you know. That was all great, but it was a pigsty. The back was ruined. Anyway, I divert just because when you associate personality with. But I remember Jamie Oliver, and I don't know if we're going off tangent or I'm talking too much, but Jamie Oliver teaching kids about chicken nuggets, and kids will just eat chicken nuggets. It's not their fault, it's because it's been put in front of them and it's easy and it's all glamorised.
It's all glossy, isn't it?
It's nice. But when they were asked to actually make a real chicken nugget, they were all going, oh, vile. And I remember watching something, because there's a book on mindful eating, and the guy, I think he's done a podcast with Oprah, and he was saying like he thinks every child should be made kill an animal if they want to eat it. And I'm kind of like, part of me goes, yes, that should be right. But then part of me goes, that's horrific. But then, yes, because the reality is, if that's what we had to do, we had to.
Well, there's a big disconnect between what's on your plate and where it came from. And most people, like Aidan Kelly's son, he readily admits he doesn't want to know where it came from.
No. So do I. Neither do I.
Aye.
But I was eating something the other day, and I was looking at it, and I thought, why is this so cheap? And then I was like, why is it so cheap?
It's got pig lips and arsehole and stuff.
I heard that a certain burger takeaway place hose down every bit of the animal so they can use it.
Wow.
So power hose it, or so that every bit of the meat comes off the bone. I was like, so what we eating? But yeah, because I think it's a great conversation to have, and but I'm very, I don't want to know about it, and when I do want to know about it, I don't really want to know about it.
I think where the meat replacements and stuff that come in, see if it helps people, if they want to transition over, then cool. But it doesn't need to be like that. Tofu's great, just people don't know what to do with it.
Aye.
Do you know?
I've watched videos on that as well, and I'm fascinated.
It's great. You probably watch a couple of the same guys as I do. I love it.
There's one on TikTok called, she's a vegan chef, but I think she just works in because she's always eating chips, and I'm like, I like her diet. These chips and there's this like sauce over it, and then but also, right, talking about it, so there's certain things that you would think, so avocado, you're not supposed to eat
if you're vegan. Oh really?
Well, they say because anything that needs an animal, so avocados need I don't know what it is, but they need something to help them grow. Almonds, as well, honey, obviously, the bees. But there's certain things, I seen a post and I was like, oh, for God's sake. So is this people just try to sabotage us, try to be vegans? Because
I don't know, but I personally wouldn't go to that length. Right. Like I'd eat an avocado. I'm not sure whether I like avocados. They're one of those ones that I have every now and then.
Avocado with lime,
right,
and coriander and a bit of chili and lots of salt. Yes.
Right.
In fact, I buy a guacamole out of Costco and it's phenomenal.
Right.
And it's all the work done, and I just scoop it out and it's dead tasty and a bit of Rivita. But, yeah, and that's funny because I think I was just looking for an excuse not to be a vegan, because I was like, oh, there we go, avocados are out of the game, almonds and all, we can't have an almond.
But that's what I mean. I mean, some people, it's not to criticise anyone at all, otherwise the comment section will go mental, is trying your best, and some people, their best is going to that extreme and putting that amount of thought into it, and good on them. They're that dedicated and devoted to it. I didn't even know that about avocados, so every day's a school day.
And almonds as well.
Aye.
I'm sure I seen a meme, and it was like all the things you couldn't, that needed animals to grow.
Aye.
So.
Well, we'll finish up. We'll do a wee separate bit. I'll bring the chocolate and cheese in. You can try that.
Like the Pepsi challenge.
But we're going to do the takeaway thing. So you said before about the take a sec.
Just that what I said, especially the 1 to 10. 1 to 10. I always think, for me, keeping a journal is good of positive things. But if you've got any negative, if you've got anything heavy on your heart, what I like to do is I email myself it.
Right.
So when I'm going to bed, I used to be terrible in bed at night, because I would just be bombarded with thoughts, and it could be a specific thing that happened that day. But often, if I had nothing to worry about, I would think that they've not emailed me back. Why have they not emailed me back? Did not want to use me? What did I say in that email? And I would just go, I was like, let's just think of things to destroy your peace right now. Because that's what I was. I was a warrior. That's what I developed to be. So if there's something, now what I do is I go, right, I'm not that, bed's for sleeping. I'm not taking anxiety and worry into bed. They sound like two strippers. One anxiety stripper, worry coming into bed with me. I'm not taking it into bed. I'll deal with them in water. But if something's really big, like something major, you've got, I get up at my bed and I put my laptop on and I email myself it. And then when I press that send button and it goes whoosh, I feel that it's left my body. and then I'll maybe meditate again, because a candle's great to meditate. Obviously, buy a fake one if you don't trust yourself with a candle at night time. Or go to YouTube. There's videos of candles on YouTube, and just watch it. And then go to bed. And when you're lying there, and when I feel that my ego is trying to sabotage my joy, my inner saboteur is coming up and going, here, that thought coming again. I go, nope, I'll deal with you tomorrow. I'll read the email tomorrow. I'll deal with you tomorrow. Not right now. And it's like literally putting a baby on a potty to try and train. You're like, no, darling, you need to, the baby's 16, for God's sake, come on, darling. you need to be consistent with that, because the minute you don't put the baby in the potty, the baby's going to pee or poo everywhere. So you need to go, nope, you're training, this is what we're doing right now. And then eventually you get into it, and then I have to tell you, I have never read an email that I've sent myself.
Oh, really?
Because the next day, it's not that important.
It's interesting, because I do struggle sometimes getting a good night's sleep, just as you say, just that sabotage, just so much bouncing about my mind.
Have you heard of the 3-2-1 thing at night?
No.
So 3 hours before you go to sleep, no food. Right. No alcohol. Alcohol stops you getting that REM sleep. So you can't be a shiny happy person with it. It stops you getting the deep sleep that you need, because you're just sedated with alcohol. You're not actually sleeping. Right. You think, I'll have a wee couple of glasses of wine to get me to sleep. You're not sleeping. You're sedated. So 3 hours before, no food and no alcohol, which is a pain, because then you're like a drink. And then 2 hours before it, no work, and then 1 hour before it, no blue screen. Right. And that's hard for people. Now, I was talking to somebody and they were like, I can't fall asleep without the television. And I was going, do you know what? See if that works. See if you can sit on your iPad and go like that and put your phone down and fall asleep. Who am I to tell you not to do it? Aye. But there is a thing called circadian rhythms in our body. Have you heard of them? No. So basically, as cave people, when the sun came up, we woke up. When the sun went down, we went to sleep, because there was no electricity, there's no candles. Maybe there was a fire, right enough, but there was nothing. So we went to sleep. That was just the natural. That was our circadian. I think that's what it's called, circadian rhythms. So when it goes dark, and in fact, see if you're really struggling at night, make sure your house is dark. Make sure your bedroom's dark. Make sure your house is dark an hour before you go to sleep, and do things like put quiet music on, or read a book, whatever you do. But try and keep the light situation down, because that's communicating to your body that it's nighttime and it's time to sleep. Right. So then your what you call the things that melatonin produced in your body. So you want to not have any blue screen, because if you've got a sun up there, your body thinks it's daylight. Aye. So then all of a sudden you lie in bed like that, ding. But the thing is, you might think an hour going to bed without anything to do is too long, right? But when you're in bed, how long does it take you to get to sleep? Aye, well. So you're wasting time. You may as well sit and do something productive, like get creative, maybe start writing. But then again, that might get you too excited. So you need to find things that soothe you. Have a shower. And apparently, putting yourself in a hot bath or a hot shower makes you tired as well. I can't remember the reasons. There's reasons behind, there's scientific reasons behind it, but being hot makes you sleepy. And maybe that's why we give Wayne's baths at night, to help them get into sleep. But yeah, the 3-2-1 at night time, and just your coffee as well. Some people can drink coffee up to 9 o'clock. I have 1 coffee a day. In fact, I've not even been drinking much coffee that recently, but I love a coffee, but I only have it in the morning. Right. I usually I get a wee cup of tea at night. Well, there's caffeine in that as well. I know. So just look at what you're doing and notice it, and then just go, I'm going to change it up for a couple of nights. But that's a good couple of things for people to take away. Another thing that I said to you before we started filming was the thing that your wee video your mum put up, or you put up, your mum was in. About being grateful. About being grateful. So was that 10 things she said? She was, I think, she was just saying when she's feeling down. But it's just basically that she was just saying it in a different way that I've said it earlier on about the 1 to 10. Aye. So she's just doing it naturally. That's what she does naturally. So she lives alone. She has a lot of feelings about. She'll say, the best time of my life was rare new Wayne's. She would like all of us to move back in there again. Aye. So she doesn't have that joy anymore. So she will spend a lot of her time reminiscing and thinking, I don't have the life that I want. So she has to work hard at being grateful. at the things that she's got.
Aye.
And I didn't know that until that moment. I didn't know that because my mum always was very much I cry in the bath, you know, and we've all picked that up from her. We very rarely show emotions to each other in our family. We show joy, but when anybody's struggling, we deal with it ourselves. I think that's part of growing up being an alcoholic parent as well. You try to keep everything safe and everybody safe, so you don't really show your pain, which is completely unhealthy.
Aye, absolutely. It just bubbles up.
It bubbles up. Then are you stifle it down with chocolate or wine or gambling or online shopping like I do? I'm actually stopped buying off Amazon. I've put it on my wish list and then go back to the end of the week and if I want it, I buy it.
We were talking about Amazon yesterday. Funnily enough, to Claire and Stephen, I was talking about the Energy Flow guy. And he's good at that kind of stuff, just shutting off. But Claire's like, no, I can't survive without Amazon.
Aye.
It's just great. It's just that it's there the next day for you. It's amazing.
It is too good, but it scares me a wee bit because how good it is.
I know. It's an instant society we live in now.
And the packaging as well.
Aye.
That it comes in. I ordered 2 things the other night, right? And I thought I'll wait and order them together. So I put one in my basket and I went, the 2 things is enough, and the 2 of them came in separate packaging.
Aye.
I was annoyed.
Or do you get a wee thing and it comes in a big parcel?
Because it's long and thin, it comes in a box that size.
Aye.
It upsets me.
What is it you're ordering?
It was a lightsaber. No, it was actually a light for my toilet because I don't have any plugs in my toilet, so I've got this one that you charge up and you just touch it and so I have my lights on. So it's a big long light and it's brilliant. It's LED, so I have that, honestly.
Anyway, I think that's a good point to stop.
I don't like dough, any kind of dough.
Listen, thanks so much for coming on, really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
We'll have a wee separate bit just now. We'll record separately with you trying some vegan chocolate and cheese.
Nice.
See how you go on with it. But thanks so much.
I just hope I'm not lying here like Jabba the Hutt.
Listen, look at me.
You're not. I'm like, look, my wee Princess Leia. I'm going to start feeling.
It's been amazing. Really enjoyed it. And people get some great stuff they can take away there and hopefully implement in their own life.
That's good. Well, thank you.
Thank you.